Hi, my name's Archie Jennings. I'm a London-based composer and producer. I'm here today to walk you through my demo score for our YouTube clip, Use Your Vote. This is an infomercial style clip about the upcoming US election. We wanted to keep it topical for our newest clip, and you can actually make a lot of money from sort of infomercial style clips and that sort of thing as a composer. So we wanted to create something that would give you guys a chance to score that sort of thing if you hadn't done that before, and prepare you for if that kind of thing comes up in your career. This was a really fun score because actually I did an arrangement of the US national anthem Star Spangled Banner, and it was great fun to write and orchestrate and move from the sketch to the orchestration. So I'm going to walk you through that in this demo, and we'll see how you can move from sketch to orchestration to a whole orchestral piece. But just to start, let's have a listen to my score. So first things first, I actually just want to show you some parts of the sketch because I really did just sketch it out in piano. Now this is my template where I have all my sort of orchestral instruments in. This is my orchestral template. So I have this sketch at the top and I just wrote the parts out on piano first. So let's hear that first of all. I have this piano that's always on. Now this is the melody that we're working with. Quite an interesting melody that. We're in the key of C, but you have this F sharp, which is a nice sort of dissonant addition, which allows for some chromatic movement and some more interesting chords when you're sort of harmonizing it. So basically what I did is I kept to the basic harmony that's in the actual piece already, but I sort of added some extra harmony on top of it just to beef things up a little bit and make it sound more exciting. So we start with this intro, and in the intro I have the C major chord, but it's in first inversion. So we have E in the bass, and I just play with the start of that melody. So we get and let's hear that in the sketch. Actually, correction there, I didn't have the C. Well, I had it in first inversion, but it's actually a C major 7. So we've got this B in there as well, which is the 7th. So it's kind of like an E minor chord in the bottom, but with that melody note of the C, it kind of makes it into a major 7 sound anyway. Very nice. I'm not going to dive deep into it too much in terms of harmony or anything because there's not that much going on. We've got some passing diminished chords, that sort of thing. Let's hear this. Yeah, some passing diminished chords. So over here we've got D diminished in first inversion, so the F is in the bass. And it just gives it that nice sort of movement and a tiny bit of tension being resolved, and that appears quite a lot actually. I believe it happens up here as well. We've got a B diminished. So I'm actually going to play you this first section of the sketch. I put it into sort of 2 different sections. So we have it leading to about bar 24. And this is where I wanted things to sort of liven up a bit. We've seen some of the characters, but now we're following this lady as she comes into the shot and into vote. And now we really follow her through her process of voting. So this is where I wanted it to sort of liven up a little bit and, you know, really connect to the character and that personable part of, you know, voting. This is your right to vote. So let's hear the first section, which ends at bar 24. Yeah, so the end of bar 24 is where it ends, and this is where I wanted the energy to sort of increase. So what we have going on, a few things I noticed there, just going back to it, is that something fun that you can do, really super simple, is if you think that C major sound, it's just too bright and you want a little bit of darkness, you can just use an E minor. I mean, you've got 2 common tones there, and it will fit the melody that you're using nicely if that C fits the melody, but it might even just provide a little bit of dissonance with that B. Cool. And yeah, that's just something that you can do that's super simple. Using first inversion chords is really a great way to keep the accompaniment a bit more interesting, because, you know, if you're just using those strong root position chords, you know, it can start to get a bit boring. So using first inversions like this, like we have with the C major 7, ultimately when we do come to that C in root position, makes it sound much brighter and much more powerful. Okay, moving on to the orchestration for this section. I wanted to keep it super simple before we get up to that more exciting, more energetic section. So what we've got going on is, originally I tried the melody in the flute, but I actually thought it just sounded too high up, and the flute can be a bit tricky sometimes, so I moved it down to the clarinet, and I really liked how that sounded. So let's just hear that. Very nice. And then supporting that, so in the strings we have violins playing some harmonics. Let's hear those. Really love that sound, just scraping, really sets the scene nicely. And violas, I think we've just got like some long held notes. I think it might be flautandos. And that combination works really nicely. So let's hear the strings on their own. And we've got this nice open sound. We've got a G, a B, and another B. So that's sort of the major 7 and the 5th in this C major chord that we have. But it's also kind of parts of a E minor chord. And then just as a small addition, we've got this mark tree happening, just for a little bit of twinkling in the background as well. Very nice. Okay, so moving in, I wanted it to sound sort of royal and, you know, big, but not overpowering at the beginning, because we're still sort of setting the scene. So I thought some nice brass for that would be perfect, basically. So if we just close up the woodwind section, we open up the brass. Let's have a listen to what's going on in this section, in the accompaniment. Simple. I mean, we have the horns playing the melody. Alongside the clarinet. And that's a really nice warm sound. And the flute comes in a little later towards the end of that as well. Very positive sound, that. Quite uplifting, but also quite grand sounding. And then with that low brass supporting, we have the trombones outlining the chords really simply in blocks, and then the tuba filling in with that bass note. Not really anything tricky or complicated going on there. So that kind of thing, you know, keep it simple, but also you get a nice sound from these instruments. Just to let you know as well, I'm using BBC SO mainly for this orchestra. That's BBC Symphony Orchestra from Spitfire Audio. We also have some harp and some timpani just to make it sound a bit more grand as well. And we have the harp outlining some of the chords and also the melody. So here is the harp outlining the accents of the melody. But also we've got this arpeggiated thing in the harp going on here. Yeah, nice. Let's just hear all of that together before we move on to the next section. And you can hear the flute there joins in an octave above the clarinet with that last part of the melody. Sounds like this. And I actually sort of liven the melody up a little bit. You might be able to hear, instead of, I just go. Just a bit more energetic, provides a little bit more movement, which I think sounds quite nice. Okay, moving into this next section, I really love how this part sounds and how it's orchestrated. So it's mainly in the strings here. We move from brass to strings, and this is how it sounds. Really love it. Let's just solo the strings for this. Really, really nice. Let's hear that again. So we've got this kind of divisi thing going on here. So the double bass is of course hitting those nice root notes. Let's hear that by itself, providing that power down below. So let's look at how I've orchestrated the bass instruments. That's the cello and the double bass of the string section. Generally, we have one cello playing the fifth, and then we have the other cello playing the third of the chord higher above that, and then we have the bass playing the root note of the chord, and I think that just creates a really nice, warm, rich sound. Let's hear it once more. Lovely. Now let's see what the violas and violins are doing. So if we just ignore violin 1 for a second, let's take that away. We have the viola down here playing the fifth of the chord, and then we have the violin an octave above that. That's the violin 2s playing an octave above that, and then of course we got the violin 1 playing the melody above. We've got the violas playing usually the fifth of the chord, and sometimes a bit different, maybe the third, and then the violin 2 is moving about in the chord, just provides a little bit of movement into some of the chord tones, and then the violin 1 we have above that. Then sort of a couple bars later we have the violin 2 supporting the violin 1s an octave below, and it just moves into this really nice rich melodic sound. Let's hear that. Love it. And then, yeah, of course, we have the cello and bass supporting. So let's once again hear them all together in context. Along with that as well, we have the celeste supporting the melody, the harp playing those arpeggios again, and some timpani just to make it sound really nice and big. So let's hear that all together. And as well, there's a cymbal down there just supporting, making it sound really rich and grand. Lovely. So I wanted to move into something a little bit simpler, or, you know, a bit cuter sounding, I don't know, not quite so grand in this next section when we see all of the people. We see the family, we see this man, this lady, and then we move into the next section. Yeah, so I wanted this to sort of change here as we see all these different people. So let's just hear what's going on there. So the melody starts out in the flute, it then moves to the oboe, and then we have it in the first violins and the horn. So let's just hear how that melody moves. Nice. And that last section is not very melodic. It's just sort of these long held notes to lead us into the next part. That last 2 bars or so where we move to 4/4. Yeah, so that's a really nice way to keep things interesting. It's just to move the different parts of the melody into different solo instruments. So the flute and the oboe, I think particularly, is what I really like. I just want to hear it once more. Just love the way it picks up where the flute left off. Sounds really nice. Let's have a little look at what the strings are doing here. We have this bass pizzicato sound on beat 2 of every bar. Let's hear the strings by themselves. And then on that walk up, where we have a diminished chord, it just outlines some of the harmony. Really, really nice. So we have the harp joining in once again with those arpeggios. A really great way to thicken out the sound is to just add some harp arpeggios to the string section. And I think particularly the double bass pizzicato and the harp work really well together. Yeah, lovely. And then it's all pretty simple in terms of orchestration going on with the first and second violin. Violin 2 is all the same, but violin 1 we're playing some divisi here. Very nice. The celeste is helping to support the melody, and we've got some triangle joining in as well in the higher percussion. And I think the triangle really plays a part in that sort of cute sound. That's just what I add to everything that I want to make sound sort of a bit whimsical. Just add some triangle, it really, really helps. Yeah, so we sort of have the cello and viola not in for a few bars on purpose because we want this next sound, we want the next few bars leading us into the next section to sound bigger. So let's hear that. And as well as that, the bass moves from pizzicato to just these nice long legatos to sound really thick and beautiful. We also sort of have the melody again passed around between the strings. So if we actually just hear the violins, we have the first violins doing this, and then the second violin's coming in an octave below. Sounds really, really nice. Just a great way to sort of keep the melody moving and to keep things moving in the piece. Let's hear that, just the string section together. And then we have the violas doing this sort of like upbeat. And that just works beautifully, that sort of counterpoint. Lovely. It's quite simple, but actually there's quite a lot going on in the orchestration. So I really want to show you how you can move from this simple sketch to this quite big orchestration. So there's quite a few things going on that are quite fun harmonically, just some simple stuff, but some nice sounds. We have, for example, here, we move from C, which is the 1 in the key of C, obviously. We move to the third, which is E minor, but then we know that our next chord in the next bar is going to be A minor, which is the 6th, and the 5th of that is E major. So what we can do is we can use the 5 of A, which is E, which is the secondary dominant, we call it, to move to that A. Gives it this nice landing. And because we're already on E minor, we then just sharpen the third of the chord. So we move from a G to a G sharp, and we get this nice sort of uplifting movement into the A minor. So let's hear that. Yeah, really, really like that sound. And then here we have an interesting ending. Fans of Whitney Houston's Star Spangled Banner will know that that is a flat 6, a flat 7, and then the 1 chord. Famously, she performed that, and it has that ending, as you can tell from one of Adam Neely's videos. He talks about that. And yeah, so that nice flat 6, flat 7 ending just sounds really powerful. Yeah, like it. So that's in the key of C, that would be A flat 7, B flat 7, and then C major. Sounds really simple here, but you can sort of picture how it's going to be really grand and powerful when we get to the orchestration. So let's do just that. Right, there's quite a lot going on here. Yeah, quite a few things going on. Let's just hear the whole section by itself. Now, I didn't have much time to do a mix for this or anything, so some things sound a little bit unbalanced, I think, but generally I'm focusing on orchestration here and stuff, so yeah, let's have a little look. First things first, what I wanted to do was sort of outline the harmony with these sort of arpeggiated things going on in the cello and viola. We've got violas playing triplets and cellos playing sextuplets. So let's hear those together. Some nice movement there. As well as that, there's some harmony being played by the flutes and oboes. Again, just with, I think, some like quavers. And those are the things that are providing the most movement. Let's hear those together, the viola, cello, and flutes and oboes. Now, I generally say that is what is going on in the background of the orchestration, or maybe the middle ground. You've got this kind of movement, and you want that movement to just drive us forward a little bit and give us some velocity into the next chord, into the next part of the melody. In the background or middle ground, depending on, you know, how you mix it. I haven't mixed it brilliantly, but yeah, you want these kind of nice block chords to really hammer down the harmony. So we've got some clarinets outlining some of the harmony and bassoons as well as that. So let's hear those together. Yeah, just outlining that harmony once again, playing those chords, outlining them sort of through the different clarinet parts and bassoon parts. The trumpets are doing something interesting here, which is they're playing sort of the common tones between some of the chords, which we actually call binding in orchestration. So you're just sort of binding some of the chords together by having some instruments play some common tones. It sounds a little bit weird on its own, but it brings the whole piece together quite nicely. The horns are joining in with melody. We've got the double bass and tuba really hammering down the harmony. Violin 1 is mainly playing the melody. That's our strongest instrument here. And then we've got violin 2s supporting an octave below. Classic orchestration there. We've got the glockenspiel to outline some of the sort of accents, or to play some of the accents of the melody. And the harp is sort of supporting that cello thing with some rolled chords. Now, the harpist might not do that for that long when actually orchestrating it, because that can be quite tiresome on the hands. You know, maybe consider that in your own work if you're going to put it to an orchestra. And then we've got some glissandos just leading us into the next part of the melody. And for some of the most powerful moments in the melody. We've got some timpani rolls again to lead us into some of the most powerful parts of the melody. Let's just hear that here. Here we've got this nice walk down. You can't exactly hear it all that much. In the mix, I'd probably bring it out a bit more, but I think the violin 2s and the tubular bells are playing it. Yeah, if I were mixing it a bit better, I'd definitely bring that out a bit more to lead us into that nice flat 6, flat 7 thing going on. The trombones also join in here to just bring the power together, and we're playing all together in the orchestra. Pretty much everyone's joined in this last section, and it's just these long held notes. We've got some triangles, some cymbals, and some timpanis just to bring it home. So let's hear those last few bars. Really nice. You might have noticed up here as well, I've got a few things going on with time signature and tempo. This is what we call a ritardando, or a rit at the end of a piece, usually just slowing down to really bring those nice harmonic resolutions, you know, just to give them a bit more power and punch in that last few bars. Again, we move to sort of 4/4 in these powerful moments leading into the next sections, like where we're just outlining the chords. I don't know, it just sounded right, I think, with the rit and with the movement to 4/4, because the usual melody and the usual Star Spangled Banner is in 3/4. So let's just hear how it slows down here. I mean, you can really hear it in the melody mainly, so maybe let's just solo that, say the horns. Which actually brings up that the horns are playing in thirds here as well, just to, you know, make the melody a bit more powerful. Yeah, so that's the main bulk of the piece. I mean, pretty much gone through everything. Can't really think of anything that I've missed out. Yeah. As a QTube member, you have access to the MIDI and audio stems of this demo. So absolutely dive in, check it out, have a listen to what each instrument is doing. I think it's really quite helpful to go through another composer's work and just work out what's going on in each section. I've included a video of the MIDI roll as well, so you can see what each section and what each instrument is doing. As an extra special bonus, I've also included the MIDI of the piano sketch. So what you could go ahead and do is, you know, just drag the MIDI of that piano sketch into your session and then go ahead and orchestrate it yourself and see how you do. Might be better than mine, might take some tips from mine. So have a play, it's good fun, some orchestration, so yeah, go for it. I do hope you enjoyed this walkthrough of my demo score for this piece. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye bye.